I want to welcome everyone to the call. My name is Kathy Bartlett. This is my husband, Scott Bartlett. And Scott, do you want to tell them a little bit about us so they know that what we know?
Sure. I'm not much of one to toot my own horn, but Kathy and I have been involved in horses pretty much since birth. I was raised on a ranch as she was, and my grandfather had 50 head of brood mares, and we did most of the work on the ranch with horses, and we both competed on national levels, Kathy in the barrel racing and myself in mounted shooting. We've trained horses for the public for years, and right now we're down to 8 head. It seemed like the magic number was 23 head. We had 23 head of horses for a long time. Had stud and brood mares, and kind of that's the long and the short of it.
So we're able to read horses really, really well. People, you know how you can read other people. When you work with people, you have to learn to read people, right? And it's no different in the horse industry. So when you're working with the animals and being raised with these horses all of our lives, we know exactly they speak to us louder than most humans speak to us. And it's easy for us to know what the problem is in a horse typically, right? But what has been so wonderful with the BEMER is that it's opened up a whole new world for us. And it's made our lives easier as far as managing horses, as far as training young horses, helping older horses with problems that they've had for years that we didn't really know what to do with. And it's just really, really been just a godsend, as the human was as well. But Scott, do you want to explain a little bit about?
Well, back up just a little bit. The horse BEMER is what sold me on the human BEMER. Horses don't lie. You know, you can go to a human being and they can tell you all sorts of stuff, and sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. But a horse always, if you know how to read a horse, they're going to tell you the truth. And what I saw what the BEMER did for our horses is what really sold me on the whole BEMER experience. I don't know, you know, they called me the cowboy nanny in different events that we went to, because I'm always drawn to little kids, and you know, I think I'd probably been a good kindergarten teacher. My biggest enjoyment comes from starting young horses, you know, and that foundation kind of sets the basis for their whole life. And if I would have had this BEMER years ago, it would have made my life a whole lot simpler, because there's the young horses, you know, they don't know, they're kind of a flight animal. They're, you know, if something bad happens and they get scared, they're out of there. And there's a lot of animosity, tension that when you first interact with the colt. And my experience with the BEMER is, if you can BEMER that colt before you put a saddle on them, it relaxes them and it makes a whole lot better experience for them and for you.
Exactly. When we were riding 9 head of horses a day, we had outside horses that we rode. I mean, that's what we did for a living. And people would bring us horses. We'd put 30 days on these horses, and we would be riding 9 to 10 head of horses a day. And I'm like, man, if we would have the BEMER back then, oh, it would have made our lives so much easier. So obviously what it does is it calms the horse down. It helps them be more focused. It takes away their anxiety. You'll notice when you start to BEMER a horse, and another, I could go all over with this, but they'll drop their head, their eyes will close. They'll usually
they start to chew, they'll lick their lips.
Yep.
I had a horse fall asleep on me 4 times during the session. He was an older horse, and kind of reminded me of an old guy sitting in his easy chair watching news at night. He would literally fall asleep and his legs would start to buckle, and I had to wake him up. And within a minute and a half, he would fall asleep again. His hind leg would buckle and he'd almost fall down. He'd wake himself back up. And it was just kind of a cool experience, you know, to see that horse was that relaxed and he felt that good about the experience.
But we do on weekends, you guys. I still run barrels. I'm still very competitive. I'm 65 years old. I haul 3 head of horses to my bro racing to the weekends, or a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We set up our big BEMER booth. And what we do is we say, listen, you BEMER your horse, we charge you $25, and then you get a free human session. So it's a win-win for everybody. And so Scott pretty much, and so I'm riding horses, I'm talking to people, and he's pretty much just BEMER's horses. He just all day long, like people just, they message us on Facebook and say, okay, this is what stall I'm in. Can you come over and do it? Or they'll bring them right to where our booth is, depending upon where it is. And he'll BEMER these horses. And $25 isn't a lot of money, but normally they'll have them beamed 3 times during that weekend, usually Friday, then Saturday, and then Sunday morning before they run for the last time. And so that's $75, which still is not a lot of money when you're looking at, you spent $5,400 for this unit. But I always say, listen, any money that you spend with me, I put towards the purchase of your BEMER. When you purchase a BEMER, I will give you that money back when you purchase your BEMER. And I just assume that they're going to purchase their BEMER. And what is funny is that now over the last year, people are coming up to me. They go, okay, I had my horse BEMER'd. I never got my human. Can I get that? You bet. Come on over and get it. And, it's people just like, with the old BEMER, they didn't feel a lot. With the new Evo, more people tell me, I feel my feet tingle. I feel my shoulders. I feel, there's great results. So, but anyway, back to the horse BEMER. It's, horse people don't think twice about spending money on their horses. Now with the new neck applicator, I'm getting phone call after phone call. There was 3 gals called me today. I'm ready for the horse applicator, for the neck applicator. Can we order it before the end of the year? You bet, you sure can. So it's an amazing that you can, do 2 sales. And that's why you want to sign up as a distributor. So then they get that discount. If you sign them up when they buy the horse blanket, then they can get the discount, right? And if they don't want to, that's fine too. They can pay full price. That's whatever. I don't really pressure a lot of them. I do encourage them to go ahead and be a distributor, because BEMER is coming out with so many new products. I recommend that they get the discount, the 17% discount on their next purchase, because I think it's a no-brainer. But go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, people that maybe don't have a horse but have a dog, there's a bond, and you see some people, the dog is like their kid. Well, the way that I was raised is you take care of your animals first before we would go out and we would do chores. We'd feed all of our animals. We'd feed all of our livestock before we would ever eat breakfast. We'd go back in the house, eat breakfast, and we'd go back outside and we'd go back to work. And that bond between a horseman or a horsewoman and their horse is extremely strong, and they will put that horse before themselves typically. So they're going to go out, and typically before they'll buy a human BEMER, they're going to buy a horse BEMER for their horse. When they see what it does for the horse, they're going to go, man, this could help me. And it does, but it's crazy when I'm BEMERing horses. I can feel it. I mean, I'm so strong. I am asleep on my feet after about 3 head of horses. I've gotten to where I have to back away from them to where I'm not getting that signal, because it is so powerful.
Right. When you're doing 6 to 8 head a day, you get it,
Mm-hmm.
So, there's 3 different, there's a 5-minute, a 10-minute, and a 15-minute setting on the blanket, as there is on the neck applicator as well.
And the cuffs.
Yeah. And the cuffs. Yeah. So we recommend, you start out slow, just like you do with the Evo. You slow, and it's like a crock pot. It's not like a microwave. And I tell everyone that this is slow at first, and then, depending upon, we watch the horse. If the horse gets agitated, say I've got a mare on 10 and she starts to get agitated by 7 minutes in, I just shut it off. I go, she's had enough, and you can see it. So, but you really have to watch the horse, and that human, the person that owns the horse, she can read. If you can't read the horse, she will, or he will. They'll know. So, but those are signs to look for. I have a mare that I can only do 10 minutes. Anything after that, when I first started, she'd just get real agitated. She'd just her feet would go up and down. She'd shake her head. She was agitated. So I just shut it off. And now I can do a full 15 minutes on her. But it took me doing her for almost a month before I could do a 15 minutes. And I usually do my horses 3 times a week. The ones that I'm using, and the ones that have problems. So, and it takes a lot of time. It's great, but that's why it's nice to have two blankets and 2 sets of boots. So to say, do you notice any weird things about your horse? Like, I have some friends, and this one friend of mine, her horse was just real she couldn't get the mare. My friend ran barrels. Well, okay, we're talking about me, right? My friend ran barrels. The mare was very agitated. She'd go in the holding pen. That's where they call when it's your turn to run. There's 5 of you, and you go to the holding pen. And that horse she'd try to kick other horses, and she'd paw. And then when she'd get her in the alleyway, she would refuse the alleyway. Does your horse ever do any weird stuff like that? Those are great, or is your horse lame? That's another thing. I have a 13-year-old gelding, head bobbing lame, you guys. I mean, head bobbing. I BEMER him 3 days in a row. He never takes a lame step. I compete on that horse. And so I'm very diligent on giving him, his BEMER treatments every 3 days a week. So
there's horses that Kathy had a mare that hated men. I don't know what happened to her before we got her, but it was funny because I almost could not catch her in a box stall. I would go in there and she didn't want me in that box stall. I did everything but send her candy and flowers. And we had her before we got a BEMER. And after we got the BEMER, I would walk down the alleyway and she would see me coming and she would hang her head over the stall front, wanting me to come in and BEMER her.
That's a true story.
That was what really sold me on a BEMER. And when you believe in a product and that product works, it's easy to sell it. It sells itself, I think.
Yeah.
One question that I get a lot, people go, well, how many horses can you treat, on one charge on a blanket? And I had never really kept track of it. I said a lot. And tonight I looked it up. They said it averages about 15 treatments that you can do on one battery charge.
Sessions, yeah.
But I'm sure that's going to depend on whether you're doing 5, 10, or 15 minutes.
We always start out at 5. And then we see how it works. And then we do their either their back. I give them a choice of their back or their front. And you can do both back and front with you put one on one leg in the front and one on the other leg if you're in a hurry. And it does radiate across. So you can do that. That's legal. And then the neck applicator is such a game changer. People don't realize how important they think it's not, but explain to them about the pole.
Well, okay. So the halter, the top strap on the halter, if a horse is tied up to something and they get scared or spooked, they're going to pull back and all that pressure goes on that top strap. And, or if a horse falls, typically the first thing that hits the ground is their nose, and they get there's a lot of muscle that can be torn and stretched. And so the neck is key, I think. I mean, you can't turn a horse if his neck is straight ahead, and to loosen those muscles up so they can turn left and turn right is huge. And that neck applicator allows it to, to do that.
To loosen those muscles up.
Right.
So that horse is able to move and to feel better. Another thing, I had a horse that had a chronic headache. And I knew there was something wrong with this horse, but I could not put my finger on it. And shake his head. He would just shake his head all the time, just shake his head and not want to do stuff. And then just be kind of depressed. And we put that neck applicator on it, and it was like a whole new world. He was like bright and like, it's like he woke up. It was just amazing. So, there's something they can't tell you, but as a horse owner, there's something that's not right. It's just like your kids, right? In fact, I had the last event we went to, I had several people. Are you going to McCook, Nebraska? I need my horse BEMER'd. I need this. I need that. So that's because you have the human BEMER. That's right. That's exactly right. That's how I can go. Truly, 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 truly. Yeah. I wouldn't be riding if it wouldn't be for the human BEMER. I couldn't. I was done. 2 years ago, I was done riding. Yep. I was ready to sell everything and quit. So it's, this has allowed us to have the life that we've always loved and had, but it's just gotten bigger and better, in my opinion. Please. I love to talk to horse people. Love them. Yeah. And they get it. And then we get each other, right? So
we've had horses that we have taken to veterinarians before, and we have told them what we're using on that horse, the BEMER, and they said, keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it's, it speeds healing, the regeneration process. It speeds that up. It's just, most of them are pretty open to it. Some of them have their own devices, so they're going to promote their own deal. But there's a lot of them that see the value of the BEMER. It's simpler to use. It takes less time to use to get the same results as a lot of the machines that are out there. You know, I'm not going to badmouth anybody else's stuff, but I have seen both used, and I have not personally used other devices myself, but for years I've seen what's the MagnaWave, great device, but I mean, Kathy and I would do 6 head of horses and they'd still be on the first horse.
Anyway, I had a mare that got kicked in the hock. Remember we told you the elbow got kicked in the hock, and all the synovial fluid was drained out of the hock. Kicked in the hock, and all the synovial fluid came out. I took her to the vet. He blew. I've got pictures of it. I mean, he blew it up with just to see what the X-ray it, and it was like this big. And I'm like, oh, he goes, she's done. She's done. This was in the end of May. He said she's done all summer. You cannot run her, Kath. You just cannot. You got to keep her in a box stall and keep her quiet for the next 3 months. And this mare was, you know, she's really high strung and she's a really nice mare. And I said, Doc, I got a BEMER. He said, use it on her 3 times a day. I want you to use that thing on her 3 times a day. And I did. And within 10 days, I took her back and he said, she's good to go, run her. I mean, that's the difference. 10 days to 3 months. I mean, it was amazing. And I love this vet. I love him. Does he own one? Nope, he doesn't. They have a.
We had a filly that we raised, and she come in dragging a back leg, and it was classic stifle injury.
Yeah.
And
when they're stifled, they're done.
They're pretty much done. Yeah. I mean, you could use her as brood mare, but that was it.
And this was a prospect, right? I'm going to run barrels on her. She's just a 2-year-old, right?
Yep. And I had started her under saddle, and I thought, oh man. So and I have no idea how she injured herself. She's out in this pasture by herself, and typically it's a kick from another horse. And we started using a BEMER on her, and she came out of it completely. With nothing. Yep.
And just so you guys know, like horses aren't cheap. The horses are higher now than I've ever seen them. Used to be able to buy a horse for $1,500, $2,500, $10,000 for the good ones. I mean,
now the horses that were $2,500 are bringing $10,000 to $15,000.
And I just bought a 5-year-old mare that for $30,000, and I mean, and she's not. I mean, she's not top of the line, right? You know, horses are bringing $60,000 to $70,000 to $80,000. Those horses that you see at the NFR, $150,000 to $250,000. I mean, so a BEMER for $5,000 is not a lot of money for these people. And honestly, the horse is the cheap part. Then you got your trailer that's $100,000. You got your truck that's $90,000. Then you got to go down the road. I could go on and on and on.
$6 a gallon diesel.
Yeah, BEMER's the cheapest thing you could do for your horse.
We better quit.
Yeah, but no, listen, write our numbers down. 605-830-1246 is my number. Scott's is 605-830-1677. Jeannie will give it to you. Jeannie, just give it to him. And then you guys call us. I answer the phone. I have it on me 24/7. I can be on my horse and I'm answering the phone. So, and normally I am.
Most of the time we are.
We love you guys. Thank you.
Love you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.